Hi, my name's Estelle, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about my art and my business. In every aspect of my life, I try to be vulnerable and to make emotional connections with the people and the things around me. And predominantly that was through drawing for a really long time. I started drawing when I was really little, and it started off as something pretty simple, a creative way for me to express myself. But drawing was something that was, for the first time, really just for me. So I continued doing it because of that, and then as I got older and my skills improved, I was able to experiment with the more emotional side of drawing and the more conceptual side of it. So I started drawing portraits of people in more vulnerable positions, more specifically with their eyes looking right at the camera or right at the viewer. And this way I could force sort of an emotional connection with the viewer to the piece. So I love the idea of the viewer having to look straight into the eyes of the subject in the drawing and connect automatically to both me as the artist who's replicated the original drawing or the original photograph, but also the subject in the photograph. And I loved this multi-layered emotional connection that this offered without any sort of communication between any of these people. And so I also experimented with this through writing. So I was very into journaling for a large part of my life, and I still am. And I loved it because I was able to really explore my emotions through my writing, fostering a greater connection to myself and becoming more connected to who I was and who I am authentically. And I loved that one-on-one connection. It wasn't for anyone else, it was just for me. But I struggled with that being really art because I didn't see it as aesthetically pleasing. So I created a piece called Take Good Care, which was a book that included both drawings and pieces of writing that I created. And this was a way for me to see side by side they're both meaningful, and that the writing was more aesthetically pleasing than I thought, and actually the drawings were more maybe conceptual than I originally thought and emotionally important to me than I originally thought. I also included some pictures of me as a young child in this book, and this gave it kind of an autobiographical lens. It is now kind of a snippet of my life from early teenagehood to earlier this year, and as long as I have it, that will always kind of be what it is, and that will be really important to me, being able to look back on a physical representation of this time in my life. And this is the book here. So it says Take Good Care on the front, and it's got a whole bunch of scans of both writing and drawings in the whole book. And this was also a big breakthrough for me because it gave me an idea of how important the physical aspect of the art really was to me. And for a long time since I was drawing, I didn't see how important it was for me to be able to feel and touch and manipulate a piece of work that I'd created. And I was already doing this through a lot of other aspects of my life, but I didn't realize how important it was to me until I finished Take Good Care. So most of the physical aspects of my art that I was doing was through my business. So I started a business called Pamplemousse in grade 9. And Pamplemousse was primarily making jewelry and hats. And through this business, I was able to articulate this summery feeling that I've always loved so much, which is like a blissful freedom and youthfulness that I was able to represent through products and through hats like these, as well as pieces of jewelry. And I love the idea that I was able to create products that to me really represented a time, a season, but also a deep emotional connection that I have to that thing, which is summer. They can then take that piece and put their own emotion onto it and sentiment onto it. And I love that. So I really strive to share that happiness and brightness that I love about summer and what I love about the products that I create with other people. And it's been the best way for me to articulate myself and make emotional connections. And I think a large part of this is the fact that each piece is physical, and this physical piece is being used. So automatically when a piece is being used, it's given an emotional connection, whether it's that time of year. Again, it's a summer feeling. You wear a bucket hat in the sun, and that gives an automatic connection to what that hat means to you. Or a certain time that you wear it. You wear it at a birthday party, or the person that gives it to you means a lot, and that automatically also gives it another context. And I love that emotional context that a physical object can have. And that's why I really love Pamplemousse, and why I'll keep doing more physical pieces like the products that I create with Pamplemousse, because they just have so much more of a deep emotional connection to me. Through all my work, I want to strive to create emotional connections and to be vulnerable. And that's it. I always wanted my work to be something that was changing the world and really just incredibly conceptual and very detailed and very specific. But for me, it's really quite simple, and this is it. And I'm gonna keep doing it and making emotional connections and being vulnerable through my art, but just also through the rest of my life. So thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.